Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining to this live session. My name is Hamid Hassanzadeh. I'm the founder of ParametricArchitecture platform. Recently we had a couple of great live shows on this channel. Today we have a really special guest from Istanbul. Her name is Melike Altınışık. Melike Altınışık is the founder of Istanbul-based practice Melike Altinisik Architects. She's an award-winning architect, designer, and educator who is dedicated to develop an innovative approach towards architecture, urbanism, and design. Her work aims to develop relational thinking capacities of the architecture in its relation with design and technologies. In a couple of minutes, Melike Altınışık will join to this live session. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Melike.
Hi, Hamid. How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
Thanks for joining to this live session.
Thank you for your invitation. It's very
You're
nice
welcome.
to be with you here at this
You're welcome.
platform. Yes.
If you want to
Hi
say
to
hi
everyone.
to our audience, the mic is yours. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for everyone who is listening and joining us today. I hope that it will be a nice conversation with Hamid. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, would you please introduce yourself to our audience and about Melike Altınışık Architects? When did you found it and your works?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
I'm founder of Melike Altınışık Architects. Shortly, we call it as MAA. It's based in Istanbul, and I founded it in 2013. It has been already 7 years. Actually, before I found my practice in Istanbul, I had almost 8 years journey in London. I did my master's studies at AADRL, at Architecture Association Design Research Laboratory. Afterwards, I had the opportunity to work with Zaha Hadid Architects, almost 6.5 years. And
we'll talk about that as well.
Later, yeah, we can talk about it, definitely. And yeah, since 2013, under the roof of Melike Altınışık Architects, we have been working on a wide range of projects, from really high-rise TV tower projects to cultural centers, museums, master plan projects, interior design, product design, till like bespoke furniture designs. For us, the design is very important as much as the architecture. And usually our clients, they prefer us because of our innovative and visionary approach to our projects. And recently, in 2019, we opened also our branch office in Seoul, in South Korea, because we have started working on a robot science museum in Seoul. So shortly, the background of MAA is like this.
Impressive, impressive. Yeah, recently we've seen really great works from your office, MAA. And these days, all over the news is about the Robotic Science Museum, also Radio TV Tower, which I will ask about those projects as well. So let's talk about current situation and COVID-19 and this pandemic. How did you adapt your office MAA with this COVID-19? And what do you think it will affect our relations, lifestyles, work styles in the near future?
Actually, in Turkey, in Istanbul, specifically since March 16, all my team has started working from home. So we adapted physically ourselves to start working from home, not from office. Personally, I go to office as much as I can because my home and office, logistically, they are close to each other. I personally prefer to be in the office space during the daytime. So from 9 to 7, my routine is the same, but of course I connect my team through all the digital technologies, remotely. But for us, it was not a very difficult transition because we have been already working for our international projects, through using these technologies. But the main difference, in my opinion, for us is now the whole team is at home. Like normally I have been surrounded at least with my team and only for the international communications we needed to use these
Exactly.
digital technologies. So I mean, producing like the architectural design processes, actually it's not really getting affected. Yes, and in general, I mean, in my opinion, like you can produce, of course, like digitally together with your team, not exactly being in a physical environment, in an office environment together, but it's never the same as, you know, having the team around you and also, you know, thinking together, sketching together. Like these things I miss a lot, I have to say.
Exactly.
And I think it's really part of the, also the, you know, the design process. You cannot just digitalize everything. That's my general opinion. Even though we are one of the offices which is using all these technologies really in a advanced level in our office environment. On the other hand, like really speaking about architecture and also the future of in really related to pandemic condition, like if I think about your second question, I have to say that most probably pandemic will disappear one day, but the fear will remain, like which put into us is the fear. And most of the scientists and also like a lot of people, they are saying that it will keep remaining, like the pandemic will become maybe a routine in our life. So we need to really adjust everything in our surrounded environment. So social distancing will become one of the important rules, in my opinion, related to the fear, because it will affect, it already start affecting the human behavior. And this means that we need to, especially related to social spaces and public spaces, there will be many things they will change. And we all notice that how important actually the human behavior and also the nature in our life. So, and also the primary thing in your life is your home, and we all understood that it's one of the most important spaces actually in our life, and we were really putting it in maybe in the secondary or in the third round, I mean third round in your hierarchy. Yeah,
Right.
these things are already changing. At least it already start changing the way how we think and also the way how we behave. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we're just shifting towards a new kind of lifestyles, and I think it's gonna have great and positive effects as well. And many people many people during these past couple of months, but we're just shifting to a new lifestyle, which is, I think it's a kind of positive thing. So,
I believe so, yes.
Speaking about your architecture and the designs, your design process, what are the important things that you value them on design? What are your design processes?
Actually, when we receive a new project from a client, or sometimes through competitions, we do projects. Actually, first of all, you need to really, in my opinion, you need to create really a good understanding and balance between the needs of the client and the needs of the people who are going to use those buildings. Like, it's very important. And through this, we always start with a really wide range of research. Research is really key point in this starting a new project, like research related to, let's say, existing project, research related to the city which you are designing in, the environmental conditions, the typology which you are dealing with. These are really important things to start a project, like a new project. And because each project brings with it a new problem, and you need to really find the right and the visionary solutions for these problems.
100%.
That's why I think, in my opinion, the balance between the client and the people, the human nations who are going to use these buildings are important, because when you design and build a new building, you do it for next minimum 50 years or 100 years. It depends on the age, you know, of the building. So you need to really also be visionary related to future. You shouldn't only think about today.
100%, right.
Yeah.
So let me ask about your famous project TV Tower. When we look at this project, we see a very multifunctional building, which just doesn't serve just as a TV or radio tower. It has restaurants inside.
True.
It has open public spaces. So would you please discuss a little bit about to our audience about the process of this the design, and how does this form came to life?
Yeah. This project is actually based in Istanbul, on the Asian side of Istanbul, and it's a very tall building. It's 369 meters tall, and still it's under construction. And hopefully at the end of this year, if this pandemic conditions doesn't affect too much the construction process, it already started to slow down, but hopefully they will open, they will have the opening for this project. This
When
project,
it's planned to open?
hopefully at the end of this year. Normally they were supposed to open it in the end of summertime, but as you can imagine, during
Yes,
this pandemic conditions,
exactly.
all the things in our life change. So this also affects, of course, this construction of
Exactly.
TV tower. This project is almost since 9 years in my life, because
And
it
also
was
it was a competition, right?
yes,
In
it was
2012, right? Or
11,
13? 11.
2011. Yeah, it was a national competition
Mm-hmm.
in Istanbul, and in 2000, at the end of let's say 2014, they announced that they're gonna build this project from that competition. And since then, it's really in the center of my life, because it's very important project, of course, and it's also very challenging because it's a governmental project, and in any country when you deal for a public project, it's not easy. And in this project, it's not only because these type of buildings are known usually as the engineer, like known with their engineers. It's their art piece, like the engineering art piece, this type of telecommunication towers. In this project, since the beginning, I have been very excited to have really the chance to combine the know-how of an architect with engineers, because these things have been forgotten. So through this type of buildings, we have the ability, or the actually opportunity, to combine the knowledge of the collaborative work of architect engineer together to create such a landmark. And actually the shape of the tower is mainly related, let's say we collected actually the design data from Istanbul's surrounding, its environment itself, like the environmental data of Istanbul. What I'm trying to say is, let's say we collected the wind data, we collected the view angles, that so because there are spaces not only serving the technical spaces, there are also, as you mentioned, like there are spaces also for public. There are restaurants,
Exactly.
there is also observation levels. So it was for us important to collect all these data and to really give the shape to the tower, not only the shape of the physics. What I'm trying to say, usually when you go to, let's say in Europe, there are many TV tower projects. Mainly they are built in mid 20th century, 1950s, right. 1960s, and usually they have this very typical shape of
triangular, right?
Exactly, like the conic shape, and then you have the spherical spaces for to inhabit these programs inside. So in this building, with all these, because we are living in a certain era that we can use, the computational design we can integrate, or the technology we can integrate into our design process. So we wanted to get this information and apply it on the form to be able to shape it and reshape it to give, in a way, that the absence of the surroundings. So
exactly.
At the end of the day, the tower combines the math related to all this information and the beauty which is coming from Istanbul itself in its form, and it's located on the Çamlıca Hill, and it's rising from a really nice park, a green park. And when the visitors, they go to visit this building, first they will arrive into the nature, and then from there they will take the panoramic elevators, and then they will rise up almost 200 meters, and they will be above 400 meters above the sea level,
right.
to observe Istanbul. Yeah,
Exactly.
in general, like, yeah, this is basically.
Yeah, talking about the
the
views,
content.
angles, and the form of the building. From every point of the Istanbul, I think I was able to see this TV tower.
Yeah.
And from every place that I was looking to this tower, it was in a different shape. So this is the brilliant design type that you just created for this building. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've been there with
Yes.
yourself last
Yes.
year, and I remember
Exactly.
Chris
We
Pratt.
host you. Yes, we host you
Exactly.
with
Yeah,
Chris
thank
there.
you.
It was very nice, definitely. Yes.
Exactly. It was winter 2019, I think.
Yeah,
It
time
was
flies.
great. Exactly.
It's already, yeah.
So how did you deal with the structure and the engineering part? I think I saw the engineering, like the
Yes,
construction
yes.
parts as well. How did you deal with these stuff? Just in a
Ac-
very short
Mhm.
summary.
Actually, because I mean, it's very difficult to explain with words, because
Yes.
if people, if they have, if they wonder what she's talking about, they can watch our timeline videos actually related to this situation. Um, the idea related to construction process, like the construction methodology of this tower, actually we have decided that during the competition process. We said, okay, because it has a, asymmetric shape, this tower, and it's such a morphology, you cannot use the typical construction methodologies for such a project. So we have decided to build the floors, the upper floors, actually. So first you build the core of the building, like the concrete core of the building. Then you build the antenna, and then this antenna is actually built inside this concrete core. You lift up this the steel antenna, which is almost 145-meter long. It was already a challenging process. And then all these spaces, like the floors, which are shaping the building and which are inhabiting all these spaces which we will use, we said, okay, let's divide them into 8 segments. So imagine that you build 4-story high buildings at the bottom of the towers, and then you lift them up 200-meter long. And so building these 4 levels of, in a way, like 4-story of a house almost. And then I always say that it's almost equal to, let's say, you lift up 1,500 cars.
Right.
Like you stack
Wow.
them together, and it weighs the same thing. So we have been using like a lifting lifting methodology. So with to be able to bring these floors up. So we started building from top down instead of down bottom.
Top.
So,
yeah. Right.
So it has been quite different methodology, and it was very interesting for all of us to go through this process, because these are advanced engineering technologies. I have been always interested, like, as I said, like the relationship between architecture, technology, engineering, and nature, how to combine these things together in a building has been always in the center of my interest.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. So I'll ask about Seoul project, one of your brilliant
yes.
projects. You just won the competition, an international competition in 2019. Robotic Science Museum, the title of the project, Robotic Science Museum. And you said the construction process of this building will be its first gallery, like the robots will present themselves as the first opening gallery of the project. So would you please talk a little bit about this project and this opening and the construction works, robots?
Yeah, many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's very exciting project also for MAA, for my firm. This Seoul Robot Science Museum was an international competition. At the end of 2018, Seoul metropolitan government announced this competition, and when we were noticed about it, I was really excited because there are three important words in it, like robots, science, and museum. So you combine these three things together in one building. So we decided to take part, and at the beginning of 2019, the jury announced our project as the winner. So since February 2019, a new journey started in our life. And so we opened our branch office in Seoul, and then we start working on this project with our also local partners together. So the main idea behind this Seoul Robot Science Museum, actually, we said, since imagine South Korea is such a country who are really developed in technology. They have these big brands, like they have the Samsung, they have LG, they have Hyundai, like they have really a lot of good and really important innovative companies, such companies in their country. And they have been also really good in architectural intelligence plus the robotics. So, and imagine that they want to have such a museum to show their robotic science. So we said, okay, we can design this building, but we shouldn't only give the public this building after it ends, you know, like it ends meaning like when, in my opinion, from a white paper till the construction, it's very important process. And during this process, you need to also share this information with public. So this project could be really important, I mean, can be, and it will be an important opportunity for public to observe all these developments. So this building itself, actually, we were saying that Robot Science Museum will start its first exhibition actually with its own construction. So architecture and construction can become also part of the this city scale exhibition in a way for this museum. So this idea becomes so important, and we are still working on the...
It was your idea, or it was the...
It was our idea.
Or...
They didn't ask something like that. It was our idea. And so since then, we have been working on this project, and currently we are on the still project phases, like we are dealing with all the detailed design of the project. And we have been also started talking with the client and with the construction companies to be able to define who can really, you know, apply our construction methodologies, because our proposal is you cannot build the whole building with robots. Our proposal was, and still it is like that, we will use the we call it actually smart construction technologies, which are using the, of course, robotics to do that for the on-site facade assemblies, like to be able to assemble the facade on site, and also for the 3D, because we have a concrete landscape, so we want to use also 3D printing technologies with concrete on the landscape, and also for the certain parts, for the inner parts of the building, we want to use some robotic technologies for the construction. Of course, when it opens, there will be also serving robots, so they will serve to the visitors, and there will be, of course, like all these robotic technologies, the public will go and visit the exhibitions through this thing.
Yeah, exciting.
So there are
stuff.
like different levels of these robotic technologies will be implemented in the process. It's very exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask one question from one of our audiences. So Zeynep asks, women in architecture, how do you balance career and personal life?
Actually, like architecture and design is in a way part of in my lifestyle. Like I cannot really separate my personal life from my career. It's like wherever I go, I bring it together with me. So I cannot really say that it's separate things for me. But of course, I have
Right.
certain boundaries. But in these boundaries, I just keep my social distance, let's say, from my work environment. But still, I continue thinking, living, and designing with architecture. So this is how I do actually, like through social distancing from the people that I am surrounded, I try to create this balance, but I still continue, you know, thinking, designing, sketching in my private life as well, because they are blended together. And I don't think that it's architecture is not only about building, it's about the building itself, like your lifestyle and the way how you also, let's say, even read something, or let's say even the way how you cook, like all together they, you can use your creativity to really source your architecture, because at the end of the day we design spaces for human, and you really need to understand how we live and how we meet these things.
Exactly. Exactly. So, other than your practice, you've been a lecturer, a teacher, also in the
Mm-hmm.
universities, like a juror in the competitions.
True.
How do you think these activities, other than your practice, affects your architecture?
Actually, these things, I believe that they are really important, like lecturing, taking part in the juries. Usually, these things you do it like as a social support for
Mm-hmm.
students or for others. And at first, you share your vision with your students and your experience. And it's very important for them, also for you, because when you take part, when you spend time with these people together, actually, it's very important source also for your own development, because you keep yourself up to date, like, because there are things when you dive into your only into your own world, you have other worries, but then when you go back, like different generations, you learn also from them a lot. I believe that it's a mutual thing. That's why it's also very important to share your
Exactly.
knowledge, but mutually also to learn from those people.
Exactly. Right. So you said that before establishing MAA, you've
Yeah,
just
everyone says MMA.
yeah,
I
because
don't know
double
why.
A is hard
Yeah, yeah,
actually.
it's very hard, I guess.
Yeah, MAA.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry for that actually.
No, no, no problem. You are not the first one. Like
Yeah.
everyone is like, maybe we should change the name.
No, it's good actually.
Yes.
Yeah, before establishing MAA, you've been worked with Zaha Architects for almost 6.5 or almost 7 years, and
Hmm.
you said once you said to myself that every year was just a school lifestyle or like
Yeah, true.
advanced version
Yes,
of school, architecture
yes.
school. So how do you think this working at Zaha Architects have affected your architecture and your office disciplines?
Yes. I mean, Hadid Architects has been really important in my life, because first of all, Zaha has been my mentor. Like I really admired her so much, and actually, I got the opportunity to work with ZHA when I was studying at Architectural Association Design Research Laboratory. She was coming to our juries, and at the end of our diploma jury, actually, I got the job offer. So I was saying that I'm so lucky that I never needed to apply for a job, like, because I
Oh,
got the
that's
offer.
great.
Yeah, it was
You
really,
got the
really,
offer from Zaha directly.
yes, and from Patrick as well, like,
Ah, impressive.
and it was really an opportunity. Definitely, it was really so important. And then my really exactly 6.5 years, because and a half I say, because every single day and hour is so important for me to which I spent there. Actually, at ZHA, most of the time, I mean, one of the most important things is you are in the center of know-how. Like you are surrounded so many genius and really amazing minds. In my opinion, it's very difficult to leave such an environment, like, and to say that okay, I'm going. It was very difficult decision for me, but I decided, and then I did it. I took the risk. I started a new journey. And when I started my new journey, of course, I took some really important things which I learned from ZHA with me. And one of the priority things is like being a team, like managing how to be a team. It's very important. When you do architecture, you are never alone, actually. It's very important to manage your team and to really create a team that you can work together and you can grow together, you can develop things together. And also trying to create a soul as a family. It's very important. Like we were calling back then ZHA family, and now today we are able to say ourselves that we are MAA family. This is really important because this means that you are starting to create a culture in your office. So when people they come and go, you can still develop your culture. This is really important thing.
Exactly.
Maybe the third thing I can say is it's not about your age, actually, it's about your know-how. So it doesn't matter how old you are to think, to design, and to create in architecture. Actually, this is really important, your know-how, like to have the capability to think, to design, and to create. And as a saying, we have been always, since DRL times, from the AA years, we have been saying, make impossible possible. There is no impossible. So
100%.
That's why just think big and try to get closer to it as much as you can.
Exactly, exactly.
This is what I took with me to my future. Yeah,
100%, I see.
Yeah.
So I'll ask one question from one of our followers. Also, it was my future question as well, but
sure.
Sorry. So Aisha asks, who are your biggest influencers and inspirations in your architecture career? And except Zaha.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Who were your biggest influencers?
Actually, the first name which comes to my mind is always Frayota. He has been, yes, he has been very important in my life because the way how his architecture has a research-based design approach, and the way how he's always putting the nature in the center of his researches, and he tries always to learn from the natural system through experimentations to create new systems, new materials. There is endless opportunities to learn from his approach. So he has been always really the center of my inspiration. Whenever I get stuck, I revisit Frayotto, and then I say, okay, we can find new ways to look forward to related to these things, like architecture, design, systems, materials, like many things. And of course, another person is actually, because all these things that, how can I say, Christopher Alexander, to read his theories, it also helps you a lot, like to really understand and to really question actually our surrounding and the way how we can generate things. And okay, let's say the third one, then I stop.
Third one, right.
Yeah, Oscar Niemeyer. I have been always fan of Oscar Niemeyer, really, like he has been always kind of source of inspiration for me. Yeah.
Impressive. Yeah, right. We are talking about Priyotto, God bless him, and he just got Pritzker Prize in 2015, before a couple of months before he passed away. But his approaches was brilliant, and brought a lot of stuff from engineering to architecture, and with all those experiments, thanks for him as well.
Exactly. Yes.
So how would you describe your architecture, and what do you think a good building is, or a good architecture is for MAA?
For a good architecture for MAA is actually, in my opinion, let's say, let's put it this way. So a good architecture actually comes from when, especially, let's put it this way, okay, especially when we are in pandemic days, I think we all learned together one fact, that nature is very important. And in my opinion, it has been also the way how we have been thinking, but now it's even more important. Like, if you can create space to also give space back to nature, then it's a good architecture, because it considers the human life in a better way, not only creating spaces for other needs, but also giving space back to nature, because whenever we create something, we take from nature, like, and we borrow him back. So we need to really consider these things very importantly. And I think also we have to reconnect ourselves to nature with less density in the cities. Like, we need to try to manage these density issues in the cities together to be able to really generate good architecture. So it's in between, like the balance between nature and architecture. We have to find the balance with less density. Then we can start talking about good architecture. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for this great definition of a good architecture for
It's
MAA.
difficult question, but yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's the future vision also. Should be future vision for everyone, in my opinion.
Exactly, exactly. So how parametric and computational design tools, what do you think, how they just change the way we look at architecture, or the way we do architecture in the past 20 years? I'm sure that you are using a lot of these tools in the office. I've been in your office, and you've got just a great and brilliant team and masterminds of the country. Yes, they're brilliant.
They are
doing
superheroes. I call them superheroes. Yeah.
Yes, they're doing a lot of great stuff. And how do you think these tools have changed the way we do architecture in the past 20 years?
Actually, yeah, 20 years is a good, like
scale.
The way how you call it, a good scale, because when I started studying architecture, it's exactly like this period of time. And I have to say, in my opinion, as you say, like, we are such an office, we can use these tools in a very advanced level. So, but it doesn't change the fact that it's not different than using the white paper and the pen, in my opinion. And it hasn't changed that way. Like, it doesn't, it's not a magic tool. You are still the architect, you are still the designer, you put the rules. These things, like all these computational design tools, softwares, all these digital softwares, they help you to, in my opinion, to deal with time in a better way, and to generate like several options instead of one option. So it gives you wide range of possibilities in front of you. Normally, to be able to do this wide range of possibilities, you need maybe, instead of 1 month, you need 1 year or maybe 10 years even, like, to really generate these things. So the first thing what all these tools gives you is you save time. And time saving means you have more time to be able to generate new design options and opportunities. And on the other hand, these tools, all these digital tools, helps you to communicate in a better way with the digital fabrication, because the fabrication and manufacturing also develops at the same time digitally a lot. And so the design can start talking with manufacturing, with fabrication. So it gives you also the direct communication with your design, so you don't lose data. Like you can transfer your initial design directly to the manufacturer. These are really important processes, of course. But when it comes, like when the scale gets bigger and bigger, of course, not only parametric, actually, you need to have these BIM platforms to be able to really transfer all your data to the construction site to get your building built the way how you were imagining as an architect. So let's, if we summarize it,
Actually, because the reason I asked this question is because most of today's offices are using these tools, and they are generating the forms that for the sake of creating the things that's super complex stuff, and they are creating these forms because they are using these softwares. It doesn't have any like architecture taste, it doesn't have any design taste, and they're all like without I don't know, soulless design. I call them
but they are not
design.
Architecture, that's the thing, you know. They are images.
How do you balance with
images?
Yes,
the image
images.
and architecture is different thing.
Exactly. How do you balance with this line, like if you add your taste into that design, or if it is just a software generated form? How do you balance it?
As I say, I mean, for us, it's very important, like when you start a project, how much data you collect to be able to generate that building. Like you need to put your rule list to be able to generate, and you need to have a know-how. You cannot just design the skin of the building. It's not a building then, it's just a paper. Like for me, what they are doing in that way is not different than doing a physical model in an architecture studio.
100% right.
Just digitally done. It's the same thing. If you don't put your know-how behind that skin, which is really the most important part to name it as architecture, then actually your difference comes out at that point, because you know how to build it. You don't just draw whatever comes from that rule set. That's why I say it's not different than using a white paper and pen, because 100 years ago also people were designing more complex buildings than we are doing today, and they didn't have any software.
100%. Gaudi.
Yani many others, like you can really put in a line, and they have been dealing much more complex geometries. At the end of the day, you need to have, as an architect, to be able to really bring those complex buildings into life. You don't need to only have this architectural know-how. You need to also have a lot of analytical, mathematical thinking. You need to have geometry know-how. Like you need to have other things also with you to be able to bring these things into life.
Great points to mention. Thank you. So we have a question from one of our followers as well, but I will change the question to mix them with mine as well. Alex90H asks, how do you see the future of AI combining the architecture actually, and what would be the role of AI with the mixture with architecture? What architects are going to do in the future?
Usually I answer this question like this. One day everyone will become an architect through this AI know-how actually.
Exactly.
And I find this actually, when everyone becomes an architect, the day when that day comes, I mean architect meaning like today's architect actually, like the role of today's architect, they will be able to mimic it in the near future. But as architects, we will become something else. We will become more like system builders, I call it. And so when everyone be able to generate their own architectural designs, like because the softwares or all these AI tools will develop in a way that people be able to use certain applications to be able to really design their houses or like certain typology of buildings. They will be able to really design and get built. And I find this really positive because when you look now in our surrounding environment, more than 80% is anonymously designed and built.
Exactly.
So, and they use just certain rules in an unknown way, and they generate really certain buildings that you wouldn't define it.
Define it, right.
Yes. And so in that manner, like all these technologies, when they develop, they will give these people the opportunity. If we design, if we help them, if we help this system to develop in a better way, we will be able to give the general public a better life quality, in my opinion. Because instead of from the unknown rules designing something really bad for themselves to live in, they will be able to choose from between 1,001 options, one of them, and live in it and generate it. So I see certain positive sides like this, and I think it's very important to give kind of democracy to through these opportunities to general public, the ones that they don't have enough money, you know, to be able to really get an architect's, let's say,
to hire the architects. Yeah, right. Nobody has that. Yeah, not everybody has that like budget to hire architects. Just architecture is just a luxury.
So these technologies, I see it in that way. If we can manage to really put these things into them, we will be able to really generate something resourceful for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. Great idea.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's great. Actually, I believe as well. It's great to mention. Thank you. Right. So, as closer with all those experiences, lectures, projects, and juries, what kind of advice would you like to share with students, young professionals, young architects?
I like this question. Yeah. I think it's one of the most important ones because, the future is in their hands.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Actually, you yourself are from the young generation of architects.
Yeah,
but
I am.
The most younger than. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I believe that they must keep learning. Like learning should be a lifetime thing. Like it never ends. Like it's not only in between the university years. Like you must continue learning and researching non-stop. You must be patient. In architecture, the first rule is you must be patient enough to be able to survive in this profession, and you must be curious enough to be able to research and learn. And when we think about our generation and for future generation, you must be collaborative. Like you really need to be surrounded not only with architects, also for other disciplines. And after pandemic, I also believe that you shouldn't be only surrounded with architects or engineers. You need to also have friends like socialists, anthropologists, like these kind of people. We need them around us to be able to generate new spaces.
Yeah.
And material research. That's the future. We need new materials. That's why we have to do more experiments together with all these other people. Like that's why laboratories will be very important, not only offices. I think the offices will end up soon. Like we will be all together, most probably in laboratories, and offices will be somewhere else.
Exactly.
Because the technology develops so faster than as architects, our role will start also changing and changing and changing. Or you need to find different corners, like everyone according to their interests, they will develop
right.
new things.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your advice.
You're welcome.
The conversation was really inspiring and informative. I appreciate that. Thank you.
To end this amazing conversation with you, Hamid, first of all, I would like to thank the Architect and Design platform and of course all the people who have been listening to us today. I wish one day they will be able to visit MAA's buildings such as Istanbul TV and Radio Tower,
Hopefully.
or Seoul Robot Science Museum, or many others. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Take care as well. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching this live session. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned with us with more upcoming live videos like this one. Till then, take care. Goodbye.